19th, City of Hammond Board of Public Works and Safety meeting roll call. Here.
Here. Here.
Item 4, approval of the minutes of several meetings in November and December.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item A, we have an agreement with Nice Engineering. Man,
Yeah, that's the agreement for assistance on projects, and it's paid for by the council.
what's the value of this contract?
It's like $10,000 or less.
Pretty okay.
We're at
We always have.
48,000,
What was that?
and this is which district?
This is for all the districts. They share in the cost, depending on what needs to be done in their district. We do this every year.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item B, we have correspondence from AT&T requesting to do some digging.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the AT&T digging request. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item C, we have some disposal authorizations from HPD. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Item D, we have correspondence from Fire Chief requesting the usage of Comcast to link stations throughout the city. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Item E, we have a hearing on the property at 4428 Henry. 4428 Henry. Any interested parties, please come forward.
How you doing? Good.
Good morning. I'm attorney Natasha Burkett, and I represent Jose Padilla. Mr. Padilla is present, as well as his daughter, Rocio Padilla. And we were advised that there would be a translator here today.
That's me, Eduardo
Okay.
Granda.
Okay, good.
City?
Yeah. This was affirmed back in 2010 for removal. Second floor apartment, the basement one. No furnace converter, no fire separation.
Actually, there are a few issues with that prior order, or, well, I don't have a copy of the order, but there are issues with the prior notice of violation. And if you could just let me go through a few things, I'll tell you the history of the property and the way that things were set up here. It is my client, Jose Padilla's contention that the property was either built as a 2-unit, built as a conforming use, or that it has otherwise become a valid conforming use. More simply, it was either always a 2-unit, or all necessary work was done to ensure that the property was in compliance with all of the applicable zoning and building codes to become a conforming 2-unit property. Mr. Padilla originally bought the property as a 2-unit building. He bought the property in approximately 2001 from his nephew, Francisco Orozco. When Mr. Orozco owned the building, it was a 2-unit. Before Orozco owned the property, it was owned by a Stanley Zatorsky and his wife, Joan Zatorsky. First, they owned it personally, and then as part of a trust. The Zatorskys owned the property from approximately 1964 to 1999. And while the Zatorskys were there, this property was a 2-unit building. I have actually made efforts to speak with Stanley Zatorsky Sr., who is still alive. He's 91, but I haven't been able to reach him personally. I did, however, speak with his brother George, who is probably around the same age bracket, and he previously had lived at 4428 Henry. George Zatorsky, the brother of Stanley Zatorsky, actually lived on the second floor unit in the 1960s. At the time that George lived there, the property was a 2-unit. And according to George, the second story had a kitchen and dining room and was pretty much just exactly like the first floor. And during the time he was there, he and his brother did remodeling on the kitchen, the driveway, and the garage. I also spoke with Stanley Sr. I also spoke with Stanley Sr.'s son, Stanley Jr., who lived at the Henry property approximately 25 years ago. Stanley Jr. advised me that in 1996, the city of Hammond required his father to do additional work on the property and to bring it up to code and to sell the property as a 2-unit building. Now, it is our position that the city of Hammond should withdraw their notice of violations and should not order any demolition or repair of the building, and that a decision should be rendered in favor of Mr. Padilla and his property. Now, I'd like to have Mr. Padilla testify here.
Just briefly, are you then in agreement with the city that the third unit is not a legal conforming unit? Is that your position?
What is the
third
city
unit being
classifying
the third
as
unit
the
being
third unit?
the apartment that the city found in the basement?
Well, we do have issues with that as well. The basement is not being used as an apartment. Actually, speaking of the prior history of the property, and Mr. Padilla can testify to this, back in 2010, the city had come, actually it was back, I believe, in 2009, the city had come in, and in the basement there was a stove, and basically it was set up so there was a kitchen downstairs. And when the city came in and told Mr. Padilla he could not have those there, Mr. Padilla complied, and he took out the stove, he took out, what else was there, Mr. Padilla? There was a sink there that Mr. Padilla also removed.
There's nothing there.
And now there is nothing there. All that is there currently is a room to sleep in. This is not being used as living space for, cooking, dining, etc. There is merely a sleeping room that can be utilized in the basement.
Despite all that history, the county assessors shows that it's a two-family home.
No, the county assessors actually show that it's a 2-family home. And I'd like to submit some certified records from the auditor's office to you. The records from the auditor's office show that this property is marked as 520. Now, I know what paperwork they may be saying classifies this as a single-family home, and I disagree with that because there are 2 PIN numbers for this property, and one of the PIN numbers reflects the 520 classification, which is a 2-unit dwelling.
Mr. President, I have to interrupt, but Kelly Cooney's paperwork is going to show that for the last several years, they've been taking a full $45,000 homestead exemption, which had it been classified as a owner-occupied plus rental, would have been a partial homestead exemption. So they've been getting taxed as if it was a single-family home.
I believe the tax paperwork is also in there.
Right, The homestead is gonna show us $45,000, which is an entire homestead, which is a single family.
Well, I'm not prepared now to speak as to the way that it's being taxed. However, I am aware of the way that it's being dealt with and the permits that were pulled in the city. I made a public records request to which I believe Jesse Escamilla prepared all the documents. Is that correct, Mr. Escamilla? I submitted a public records request requesting all of the documents containing permits and the permit history of the property at 4428 Henry. And I'll submit a copy to the board of my request for public records. And additionally, I am submitting to you what I received from Mr. Escamilla. Now, I received things that indicate that a number of permits were pulled, specifically plumbing permits and electrical permits. We have 5 electrical permits being pulled during the course of this property's history. Starting in 1959, there are 5 electric permits that were pulled. Of course, the city back then didn't keep records of exactly what work was done on the property. Additionally, there are 2 plumbing permits that were pulled. There's also a mechanical permit pulled. And I believe you'll see that in the records.
No, which would indicate that was that the fire separation issues that would need to be, make it comply as a 2-unit.
Those are building permits. So there's no building permits that would create a second apartment or basement apartment.
Additionally, there's information that inspections just submitted to us that shows inspection reports from 2009 and 2010 saying unit number 1 is fine, unit number 2 is fine, basement unit has to go. Why was unit number 2 fine in 2009 and 10 when you guys inspected it?
In 2010, it was confirmed for removal by, Kim Nordoff had that file. It was confirmed to be removed, second floor and basement. We had notes in the system saying it was confirmed as a single family home.
Now I'm looking in the packet that I handed you, the permit that starts with the permit history on the 3rd page. I'm looking at a notation that says, in 2009, 11/5/09, attic and basement apartment marked uninhabitable. File sent to Board of Public Works for removal. And then there's a notation, 3/4/10, attic and basement apartment confirmed removed. Property now a single-family home. So we have an issue there. This second floor unit was not dealt with in the board, the paperwork submitted to us shows a 2010 status date. If you flip through the paperwork, this shows entered 3/4/2010, and it states property inspected. It lists unit 1. It also lists unit 2, which I have every reason to believe is the second floor unit. It says unit 3 must be removed. I don't know what unit 3 is. I'm assuming it's the attic. Basement not used as an apartment is the indication from the 2010 inspection. The only time the second floor apartment is addressed is in this most recent inspection.
Is there any other evidence that your client wishes to submit to the board, Ms. Burkett?
Yes, I would like to call Jose Padilla to testify, and I would also like to ask questions of the inspectors. Okay.
Mr. Padilla, do you swear him in, Lynn? Or Chris? Or Lynn? Chris is prosecuting.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Excuse me? Oh,
Ed?
Que vas a hablar es toda la verdad.
no, claro.
¿Está bien?
Ujú.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Padilla, when did you purchase the property?
I buy, I think, 2001.
Okay, now, if I told you the records that I submitted to the Board of Public Works indicated February 12th, 2001, does that sound accurate to you?
Cuando lo compraste de casa en 2-1, el fecha es la verdad?
Sí.
Sí.
Okay, he said yes, it's
Yeah.
correct. Okay, was the property a two-unit when you purchased it?
¿Eran 2 apartamentos cuando lo compraste?
Sí, ya es 2 units, ya.
Okay, who did you purchase the property from?
¿A quién lo compraste?
My nephew, Francisco Orozco.
Okay, when your nephew lived at 4428 Henry, did you ever visit the property?
Cuando tu sobrino lo tenía, ¿lo visitaste?
Couple times.
Okay, was the property a two-unit building when Francisco lived there?
Cuando tu sobrino está ahí, está en 2 units. Era 2.
Oh, yeah, yeah, es 2 units, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Padilla, who currently lives on the first floor of 4428 Henry?
¿Quién vivía ahí en el primero piso?
Cuando yo la compré.
Sí.
No,
No,
wait,
oh, cuando tu sobrino está ahí.
no,
he-
when he was there,
When he was
now,
there?
currently.
Ahorita,
Oh, me? I lived there for like 11 years.
okay.
Yeah.
Who
He said he
lives
lived there
with
11
you on
years.
the first floor?
Only my wife and my daughter.
Okay. Who lives on the second floor?
There's a old lady with a daughter and son and 2 little babies.
How long have you rented out the property?
I rent like 11 years. When I buy it, I still renting. So I continue renting like for 11 years.
Did you give the city a rental registration form every year?
Yes, I do.
Did you pay the rental registration fees?
Yes, I do.
Did those fees increase from $10 to $80?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, where are the entrances and exits to the house? How many are there?
¿Cuántas puertas tiene la casa? Enfrente y atrás.
2 doors, one in the front, one in the back.
And you could enter and exit from both of those?
Yes.
Tell me about the attic. How is the attic used?
The attic, I never use it. I lock the door. I use it like for a store. I put a lot of stuff, my tools, bicycles, and a lot of stuff like that.
Do you keep the attic door locked?
Yes.
Who has
Yes, I
the
do.
key?
I have the key.
So is it fair to say the attic is not being used as somewhere to sleep or somewhere to live?
Oh, no in the attic. Nobody's live, nobody use it for nothing.
Do you store beds in the attic?
No bathroom, no room, no kitchen, nothing.
But do you store beds in the attic?
Oh, yeah, I have a little bed because this bed is for my family. When my family left, this bed stay there, so I leave it there. I don't want to throw it away.
Okay. And do you have many beds because you have so many brothers and sisters that come to visit?
Just, I don't have a lot of brothers, only 20.
And when they come to visit, do you bring those down to the first floor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Has anyone ever lived in the attic?
No.
Okay. Let me talk to you about the first and second floor. Do both of the first and second floor units have a washroom?
Oh, yes, both, yeah.
Do both the first and second floor units have a kitchen?
Yes.
do both the first and second floor units have a dining room?
Yes,
Do both the first and second floor units have a living room?
yes.
How many bedrooms are on the first floor?
3 and 3 in the second.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that the first and second floor units look almost exactly the same?
For me, look the same.
As far as you know, has the property at 4428 Henry always been a 2-unit?
Yes.
Have you had building inspectors come out to the house before?
Yes, couple times.
Do you remember when?
No, I don't know remember exactly. I don't
Would
know.
it have been 2009 and 2010?
Maybe, no, I'm not like, I don't remember what
Do
day.
you remember what happened when they came out?
Yeah, the first time when the inspector go to my house, my son and my nephew live in the basement. So these guys put a paper in the door and say, "Kid out." So these guys move it. And after that, these guys go back and these guys say, "Okay, everything is okay. Just no rental. Just use it for a storage. The basement, the attic, everything is okay. Just use it for a storage." That's all what these guys say.
So after the inspectors came out, did you remove things from the basement?
Yes, a right away. I take care of everything and I don't put nothing back.
You removed the sink and the stove?
Yes, all I have. Yeah.
And there used to be a kitchen there?
No.
Did the Board of Public Works tell you to remove the stove and the sink?
Yes.
And you did that?
Yeah.
You have no problem complying with their orders, correct?
No, I don't have problem.
Okay. Now, is the basement currently used as a sleeping room?
Yes, only my son is sleeping in the basement because I have empty rooms in my floor where I live because my son don't want to stay with me and my wife. So him say, no, I go to downstairs the basement. So I can get out, that's my son.
Is your son a grown man? How old is he?
28 years old.
Okay, is he rarely there in the basement?
Siempre está ahí en el basement.
No, he working like 4 to 12 at night and he working like landscaping in summertime and he come back just sleeping. And he had the computers and a lot of things for him.
But he just really sleeps there, right?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, are there multiple exits from the basement?
Yeah, the same, two, one in the front, one in the back, and
Okay.
2 stairs.
Mr. Padilla, have you done any work on the property since you've lived there?
No in the basement, no in the attic. I don't know how to do nothing. I don't know how, nothing about the construction, electricity, plumbing. I don't know nothing.
So, did you put in new tiling in your house though?
Just put the tile. This is no big deal.
Is that the only thing you've really ever done?
Yes.
Was there any work that was done that required you to obtain a permit?
¿Hizo trabajos en la casa que desde que era un permiso?
No, I don't think so.
The carport?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I buy a permit for that.
Okay, do you recall when you went to get a permit for the building of the carport?
Okay.
El permiso para poner, agregar
I think it's in August 15, August, something like
¿De
that.
este año?
Yeah.
Was it around the time of your birthday? I believe you told me that.
Oh, yeah.
So you, when did you go
August 12,
to?
14, something like that.
Okay, if I had a copy of the permit that said it was issued on August 20th of 2013, do you have reason to believe that is correct?
Yes.
Okay. When did the inspectors come out this time around?
¿Cuándo vino los inspectores?
Soy malo para recordarlo, ya no.
He can't remember.
Fue after August, I don't know exactly what day.
Okay, so was it not too long after you went to get the permit for the carport?
Sí, yeah.
Okay, with the carport, you didn't build this carport, did you?
No.
Who built the carport?
My nephews,
Okay, and you have a permit for this
Yeah.
building of the carport, correct?
yes.
Okay. Let's talk about NIPSCO. How many gas meters does NIPSCO have?
I have two electric meter, one for the first floor and one for the second floor, and the same the gas. I have two meters, two gas meter and two electric meter. That's all I have.
Okay. Now, with Hammond Waterworks, it's my understanding that you receive one bill, but your bill lists two separate measurements of water?
No, I think there's only 1 meter. I stay like that
But
whenever.
it shows that there are 2 units, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you there on the date that the inspection was conducted? This most recent one?
Estaba allí cuando fue las inspecciones.
No, I never stay there because I working. So all the time my daughters stay at home.
Okay, so who was there?
This time,
Yes.
my daughter Rocio.
Okay, I'd like to call Rocio Padilla. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Padilla.
Gracias.
Okay.
Chris, can you swear Padilla, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was taking notes. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Okay, were you at the premises at 4428 Henry at the time of the inspection?
Yes.
But you don't live there, correct?
No, I live with my fiance, but my dad called me and asked me to go there for the inspection, so I went ahead and went to the home.
And was that because your dad was not able to be there at the time of the inspection?
Correct.
Okay, so run me what the inspectors did when they were at the property.
When they came, they said that they were there to inspect the house. They did not have a measuring tape with them, so the way they measured was because of their height. So I heard them when they came in because I was there every single step of the way that I was the one taking them to the first, second, and third floor. So when they went, one asked the other, hey, do you have a measuring tape? No, I don't have one, I left it. So that's how they went about measuring the basement. So then when they were around the house, they were checking, they were going through the closets, they were, with the broom, they were poking the ceiling to see what it had up there. And then when I took them around the house, they were saying that there was a lot of stuff that was incorrect with the home. Now, when it came to the end of the inspection, I asked them, hey, my father only speaks Spanish. Is there any way, he can contact one of you guys because he doesn't speak English? I was like, I can translate for him. And neither or wanted me to get their business card. They kept passing it back and forth. No, you give him your number. No, you give him your number. No, I don't want to give him my number. So finally, they came to a conclusion, and one finally gave me their business card so my father could contact them. But neither or wanted to give me their business card with their name on it.
I didn't have business cards at that time. I was still new.
Okay, do you see the men that were at the property here?
Yeah, Jesse.
Jesse, and do you see the other one who was at the property?
I don't remember the other one. I remember most Jesse because I asked him if he spoke Spanish, and he said no.
Okay, and now the measurements that you were saying they were taking, they didn't do that with measuring tape?
No, they did not.
How did they measure things then
Because
without measuring tape?
When they went to the basement, they went by their height. Oh, well, how high are you? Oh, I'm this tall. Well, okay, well, we'll go off of that because neither or had a measuring tape on them.
And what other kind of remarks did they make when they were inspecting the property?
They were making remarks about the basement, and I told them, my brother's the only one down here. I have a son, a 2-year-old son. I used to work at that time 12 hours a day, so my parents were my babysitters when they got home. So of course there was going to be toys for my son there to play with. And they kept making remarks saying, no, someone lives here because there's toys, there's things for living material. Yes, there's toys there, but because my son has to play with something while my parents babysit. Now, the bed that's downstairs in the basement, those were mine and my twin sister's bed sets that we got for our Suite 15. When me and my twin sister moved out, we didn't take those beds with us because my mom wanted to keep them as memory. So she left them downstairs. So we didn't see a problem with that until they said that, no, there has to be someone living here, there's beds. And I explained to them, the toys are here because of my son, the bed is here because it's of memory. My mom does not want to throw them out. They're in great condition, there's no reason to throw them out. And they kept arguing with me, and I said, okay, that's fine. That's when I asked them for the business card, and either or wanted to give me one. So finally, one decided, okay, well, you give him your business card, and they scratched out a Matthew name and put Jesse on it.
And is the electric box have you had a chance to look at the pictures that Mr. Escamilla provided me with? Rocio?
Yes.
You have? Okay. Is the electric box in the same place it's always been?
Yeah, always been there.
Okay, and now I'm looking, there's a picture, a close-up of a light switch, and it looks like maybe it's been removed or something.
The thing with that light switch is, I used to have that bedroom because me and my sister used to stay there. It was not like that before. Now, my brother was diagnosed with bipolar. So if anybody, we were told not to get him mad. So if anything, that's the reason why he still lives with my parents, because he cannot move out on his own. He does have prescription and everything. So when he gets mad or anybody bothers him and he doesn't like it, he will punch a wall and make a hole in it. So that has to be from him when he gets angry. But that was not like that, and that can be fixed.
Okay, so it's never been any sort of repair?
No.
It's just, your brother who has some mental issues, punched the wall?
Yes.
Okay, so there was no electrical work done?
No.
There. Okay, I'd like to call the representative for the building department. Okay. Could I have someone swear him in, please?
solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, could you state your name, please?
Jesse Escamilla Jr.
Okay, and Mr. Escamilla, did you sign this notice of violation here?
Did I sign it?
Yes.
No, I don't put my signature on this.
Okay, who signed that?
Chief of Inspections, James Callahan.
Is Mr. Callahan here today?
Yes, he is.
Okay, could you point out Mr. Callahan, please?
Gentleman walking towards us.
You're Mr. Callahan?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mr. Callahan, did you sign? I'm attorney Natasha Burkett.
Okay,
I represent Jose Padilla
okay.
in this matter. Did you sign this notice of violation?
Is my signature on there? That's me.
Okay, were you at the property when this inspection was done?
No, I was not.
So how do you know that the things in here are true and correct?
Because I'm the one that does the permit history on all these properties. And while I'm up here, I'll ask you a question because I missed that when I left. I heard you mentioning all the permits that were issued.
Yes, I could show you those if you'd
You have a copy
like.
of the permit that was issued to convert it from a single-family home to a 2- or 3-family home?
Well, as I said, I believe that it was always,
So no, you do not, is what you're saying.
I have permits showing
Do you have a permit to show that it was converted from a single-family home
Jim,
I don't,
to a
Jim.
2- or 3-unit?
Mr. Callahan, I do not,
hold on, Ms. Burkett.
yes.
Jim, we're going to have Ms. Burkett go ahead and question her witnesses in the city, and then the city is going to have an opportunity to call witnesses.
Okay,
Okay?
sorry.
Okay, but just for the record, there is nothing in this notice of violation stating that no permit was pulled to convert from a 2-unit to, I'm sorry, I don't see that in here. If someone could point out to me where it says, there was,
For the second floor apartment, Hammond Municipal Code 150.003, building permit fees. Specifically, any person desiring to do work on a building must obtain a building permit.
okay,
So contractor license, Hammond Municipal Code 150.017, no permit for plumbing work was issued and no license was obtained to do the work.
I don't
Once
see it.
again,
Mr. Escamilla, I don't see anything saying conversion here, converting it to a multifamily home. I see building permit fees, I see contractor license, I see electrical, I see plumbing, and
Yeah.
frankly,
It says second floor right here. So these are all the things that apply to the second floor, saying that there was no permits to ever convert it from it being a single-family home to a basement apartment and second floor.
Could you read the title of this for me, please?
Chapter 150 buildings.
And what is next on there? It says 150.003?
Adoption of state building and dwelling codes.
Could you show me where in there it says something about building permit fees? In that section?
Are you done with me?
No, I'll probably be calling you back.
I'll be
But you
sitting-
could,
I'll be sitting.
you could sit down for now. Thank you.
All right. Permit required. All licensed contractors must obtain. a
Jesse,
permit.
where are you referencing
Uh,
the document?
150G. This is in the building code. All licensed contractors must obtain permits before beginning construction, alteration, or repair of any building or structure, cost of which exceeds $300 using forms furnished by the building commissioner. Only homeowners doing their own work will be issued homeowners permits. All permits shall be issued by the building commissioner, and all fees provided for herein shall be paid to the city controller.
Is there any dispute that Mr. Padilla is the homeowner currently?
No.
Okay. And I'd like to have you take a look at this code. It's section 150.025, building permit fees. I believe this was the code you actually intended to refer to, even though there's a small part mentioned. In 150.003, even though there's a small part mentioned, this one actually deals a little bit more with building permits. Now, in terms of permits, Mr. Escamilla, have we sworn him in?
Yep.
We did, right? Okay. Now, did you provide a list to me of the permit history?
I did.
Okay, and that was pursuant to our records request, correct? Now I see and this is the document I'm talking about with the handwritten notes on the front.
She also received copies of the actual permits from the books. I just didn't put them in the folder. She had another person come and pick them up, and they're signed off on, so they do have them.
Right, and that was received the next day, correct? Okay, so this handwritten list here indicates that there was a plumbing permit from the owner in 1958 and a plumbing permit in 1996. Is that correct? How can you tell from the permits exactly what kind of plumbing work was done? So how can you tell that, the plumbing work that was done in 1958 and 1996 isn't the very work that you were complaining of today?
Because to create a second floor apartment, you'd have to get a building permit first. And there's no building permit ever issued for a second floor apartment.
Well, isn't it feasible that this building was created as a 2-unit apartment? And why do you say that?
Because it was already affirmed. Lake County agrees that the physical characteristics of the building are a single-family home. They're being taxed as a single-family home.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to be more specific. Who in Lake County says it's a single-family home?
The property report
Physical characteristics, occupancy, single family.
Well, let me show you another page of that very same report. We have at least an internal inconsistency in the record here, at the very least. Give me just one moment. If you could take a look at this here, property class on this report, residential, under property class, what does it say?
520, residential, two-family dwelling, platted lot.
Okay, so that's not a single-family home, correct?
Should be.
Okay, if I could point out to the board what page we're on here of the production. You have that in front of you?
What? They're on page one.
These are the documents exactly as produced to me by Mr. Escamilla. Right there. Okay, now I'd like to go over the notice of violation that was issued with respect to this property. We've already established that Mr. Callahan is the one that signed off on this. Who was there at the most recent inspection of this property?
Myself and Matt Saliga.
And could you say the name?
Matt Saliga.
Okay. And did either of you have anything to do with the preparation of this notice of violation?
Yes, I did. I made it.
Okay, so you could speak as to the items contained in here, correct? Okay, if I could just briefly summarize, in this notice of violation, you're claiming there are building permit fees that were not paid, plumbing licenses that were not obtained, plumbing licenses or permits that were not obtained, allegations that no electrical permit was obtained, there's an issue with dwelling unit separation, and an allegation that Mr. Padilla has no contractor's license and that no contractor's license was displayed. Is that correct? Additionally, the introductory section says you're claiming violations under sections 96 and 158 of the Hammond City Code. Is that correct?
These are the sections that we use for our findings. It's not necessarily saying that he was in violation of specifically 151 or 158. Those are the sections that we use to conduct our...
So there's nothing specific in either 96 or 158 that's cited in this subsequent section, correct?
96, just 150, 151, and 156.
Okay, and nothing from 158?
No, doesn't look like it.
Okay. Now, we were speaking earlier about the packet that you had provided to me, and we're looking at the list of permits here, and I'm seeing on your handwritten list, which is the first page of this document, I'm seeing mechanical / HVAC in 96, plumbing / owner in 58, plumbing in 96, and I'm seeing a lot of electric permits from 63, 59, 94, 96, and 96. Did you produce copies of those permits to me subsequently? Okay, and are those at the, I've attached those to the back. Are these the permits you produced to me? Do they constitute approximately 8 pages? Right. Right, I do have that highlighted version as well. Right. Okay, could you explain to me how these pages listing the permits work?
Address, name. I don't know what that is, and then the year, right above it.
Okay, so we have listed here, could you point out to me which one is for 4428 Henry?
Right there.
Okay, and it says 1996, S. Zatarsky, and looks
Bud
like
Mechanical.
Bud Mechanical, GF, and AC. Is that the same as HVAC? What does GF stand for?
Probably ground faulted outlets, I would imagine. I don't even know if they had them in 1996, but I don't know what GF stands for. Gas furnace and. There you go.
Okay, and then let's look at this next one here in this. Do you see in 1958, 4428 Henry, and it appears, did you make this notation that says?
This was from the previous inspector's notes in the previous Board of Works file when it was affirmed to come back to a single-family home. 4428 Henry, plumbing, that's what she had.
Okay, so that was plumbing by owner in 1958?
Yeah, and I referenced them with the books and made sure that they were correct.
Okay. And
Before I
then
gave you a copy, 'cause
1998 here, I didn't see this on your handwritten list, but it appears we have some work here. It says the date of 12/10,
yeah, for a room.
Henry Zatarsky. Can you read this?
Roof tear off, and I can't really read that. It just says roof tear off, and then something glue, Nerf glue.
What do you think that could be?
No idea.
Okay. Can you tell from that what happened? What
Probably
happened there?
Probably put a new roof on his house.
Okay. Now, you produced another permit here. Now, before I ask you this, when you gave me the permit history, we had on the first page of this large production document here, there's a list that says 1941 siding and porch, 2013 redo carport, 1925 it says G, which you told me is the garage, and then 1926 it says NA, but you have listed here old address 188 Henry.
Yeah.
And so the address of this property was at some point changed
Yes.
from your understanding, and from what you understand, it went from 188 Henry to 4428 Henry, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this next page here that says 188, I'm not quite exactly sure what we're
Yes.
looking at. Could you explain that to me?
188A looks like Dion, maybe like Dean Bosca.
If you were to look at the transfer history, which I produced to the board, I believe that was one of the first owners of this property. Can you tell what kind of permit was pulled from this?
Let me see was it the first page that you had that stuff on? The handwritten one?
Right. Yeah, the first page is your handwriting.
No, you cannot tell what year it was from. 188, I would say this would be the NA.
What do
Not
you-
assessed.
Not assessed? What does that mean? It,
Means it doesn't tell me what's permit's for.
oh, okay, so is there a reason it wouldn't tell you what the permit's for?
None of them tell you what it's for.
Well, I mean,
Are you asking if it's like plumbing or electric?
I'm asking if there's any way of knowing what that permit is for.
Again, no.
Okay. On the next page, Henry, we have 188, and I see the notation G.
That would probably be for the garage.
Okay. So a building permit was pulled for the garage, correct? Okay, and I'm looking at 1960s here. Okay, could you show me where 4428 Henry is on this document?
I had it highlighted when I gave it to you, I don't know.
It doesn't copy. Copy machines don't really copy highlights well unless you have a color copier.
Okay, it would be, and I know which page this is, it would be this second cell line, because when you copied it, it didn't catch the addresses on this
Okay.
right here, that's probably why you can't see it, but it would be the second cell line because I remember copying that one.
Right, and
Electric.
that's an electric permit, and was that in 1963?
59, 19,
Somewhere.
maybe I wrote the wrong date down because it was all in line right here. I'm just realizing now that it goes down and then down.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I believe you had indicated in your handwritten that there was an electric in 59 and 63. And then let's look at this one here. I think that might have been cut off the bottom. Give me just a second. The next to last page of the permits, it looks like that got cut off, so I'm going to find my original here and show that to you. Okay. Oh, actually, it's not entirely cut off. 1996. What is that? Oh, these are in a different order. Yeah, we already looked at that one. Okay. Okay, this is the one I was looking for. It has on it 1994, and is it 96 there? Okay, could you tell me what those state?
LNS. Permit was issued 2/6 of 96. 4428 Henry. Ego Electric. 5/13/1994.
Okay, so this 1994 and 96 permits, what are these for?
Electric.
Okay, and how can you tell what kind of electric work was done from this?
The name of the company has electric in it.
Can you tell exactly what kind of electrical work was done? Could you speak up? I didn't hear you.
No.
Okay, thank you. Was there a reason that you hadn't handwritten the roof tear-off one, or did you just miss that previously?
I probably just missed it.
Okay. But that one should have been included also as part of the permit history, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I gave you yours, I put it back in there because I found it. I
Okay.
had to look a little bit deeper. I guess the previous inspector was inadequate with their permit history, so I had to find it.
Who is the previous inspector?
Kim Nordoff?
Okay. Now, can you clarify for me what you're seeking as an end result with this notice of violation?
To remove the second floor apartment and bring it back to a single family home.
Okay, but This is titled Order to Demolish and/or Repair or Remove Uninhabitable Living Space. Okay, so we are actually,
In this case, it would be demolished to go back to a single-family home.
okay, so what exactly would satisfy the city? I mean,
Well, it was already affirmed, so the walls in the basement for the basement apartment would have to be removed, and the gas and water lines capped off that are still out of the wall. And then you have to remove the kitchen from the second floor apartment. You have to bring everything to one service, one electric meter, one gas meter.
okay, now I'm going to show you in the permit history that you produced to me, it's inspection screen print, and there's a note from 11/509. What does that state?
This whole thing right here?
Yes, the bottom part. Well, you could read the whole thing if you want.
Unit 1, front entry door 36, living room okay with 3 outlets, no GFI in kitchen, rear door 32.
If I may interject at this time, there was a point where this information was entered onto a inspection that somehow got fired into a bunch of different addresses.
Why don't we hold off, because we're giving Ms. Burkett the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And then the city's gonna have the opportunity to go over the exact same information and question their witnesses.
All right, well, I'll just read the last line, because it says Unit 3 must be removed, which is either the basement or the second floor apartment, and neither one of those are removed, so.
Okay,
and then
but what does
Center
it say
Board
about
Public
Unit
Works
2 on
for
there?
removal. Owner lives on first floor.
What does it say about Unit 2 on there?
Entry door 32, back door 32, 4 outlets in living room, rails needed on third step.
So isn't this showing that the city in 2009 was aware that this building was a 2-unit?
No, it says attic and basement apartment marked uninhabitable. An attic apartment would basically be the second floor apartment.
No, there's an actual attic on this property.
Okay, well, the way we do it.
And we testified, we had Mr. Padilla's testimony regarding the attic that he keeps under lock and key. So attic apartment, would be in, from what Mr. Padilla has stated, there is an attic on this property. So I can't read attic apartment.
The findings notice I gave you guys, we'll put, I have a page on there that I don't have in my notes. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Document are you referring to? This? This.
No, if you like, that has everything. Attic and basement apartment confirmed removed, property now a single-family home.
Actually, I have that here if you'd like to take a look at it. It's the next page there. 3410. Property inspected. Could you read that for me?
Unit 1, front door, front entry door 36, 3 outlets. Is this what I just read?
Yeah.
Unit 2, entry door 32, back door 32, 4 outlets in living room, rails needed on third step. Unit 3 must be removed, basement not used as an apartment.
So isn't this showing that the city was aware of Unit 2's existence in 2010?
Yeah.
Could you say that louder, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether they removed it or not, I wasn't here in 2010, so I don't know what they did.
Right, so it says at that point the basement was not being used as an apartment in 2010, correct? And it also indicates the city was aware in 2010 that there was a second floor unit. And Then next we have what happened in 2013 here, the next page of this. This is an inspection that you did, correct?
Yeah, would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
House inspected by JE&MS, basement marked uninhabitable due to ceiling height and glass block windows, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and basement, going for removal of second floor apartment and bedrooms and basement.
Okay, now this notice of violation, could you show me where this says something about the basement?
Well, the basement should have been removed already, because it was affirmed, the walls should have been brought down, the gas and water line should have been capped off. I can make another notice of violation for the basement, if they don't want to do that on their own, if you guys have a problem with removing it.
Now with the basement, what exactly would satisfy the city?
Well,
Because
it was
Mr.
already affirmed, so all the walls would have to come down, the gas and water lines would have to be capped off. It had to be one open basement.
Now, did you hear Mr. Padilla testify that previous inspectors had come in and asked him to remove the stove from the basement and the kitchen sink, and that he did those things?
An apartment removal would have to be, all non-load bearing walls would have to come down, gas and water lines to be capped off behind the wall so they can never be used again, and it had to be one open area. And 7-foot ceilings for any bedrooms, which Matt is 6'2", and before he was even full on his tippy toes, his head was hitting the ceiling.
Now,
Absolutely no way.
is this a typical way that the building department measures ceiling height?
No.
Why did you measure ceiling height by your own heights?
I forgot my measuring tape in the office.
Okay, so is it possible that you could be a couple inches off?
From a guy who's 6'2" and not fully on his tippy toes, no.
Are you the one that's 6'2"?
He's 6'2".
I was going to say you didn't look 6'2".
5'10".
Okay, now, in the notice of violation, you're contending that no licenses were displayed, is that correct? Now, what licenses are you claiming would have to be displayed?
Well, for one, it's a rental property, so he'd have to have a landlord license to do any kind of work on it. He would need a permit to create a second floor apartment, and plans would have been submitted ever if they would have had a permit for it.
But you've heard Mr. Padilla testify that this property has been a 2-unit property since he's owned it, correct?
Well, if I believed everything everyone said, we wouldn't be here. So, I'm not saying he's a liar, but I'm saying it was a single-family home and should be back to
And how can you tell it was a single-family home? Did you enter the property in 2001 when Mr. Padilla bought it?
I'm not disputing that Mr. Padilla created the apartments. Someone could have created them a long time ago. I don't think that he would do something like that. But somewhere along the line, without a permit, someone created a second floor apartment and a basement apartment.
Isn't it possible, though, that this building could have been built as a 2-unit building? I mean, you weren't around in 1926. I wasn't around in I believe that was the year that this property was built.
Physical characteristics of a two-family dwelling would not be for single-family occupancy. They would have been for two-family dwelling forever. There would have never been any dispute whether it was a single-family home or a 2-unit, or 3-unit for that matter.
The first time I see a dispute, though, is 2009.
Yeah, when it was affirmed
Correct.
to come back to a single-family home.
Now, doesn't the Hammond zoning ordinance,
R1U.
what's that?
It's R1U, it's single-family residential.
But doesn't the zoning ordinance allow for a certain number of 2-family dwellings in the R1U district?
With the right permits, yes, and with the right lot size, yes. And even at that, we would have had plans submitted for it becoming a 2-unit.
Okay, I'm going to refer you to section 26.20, requirement for building permit. Now, my understanding of this is the Hammond City zoning ordinance. And my understanding of this is that the city, each time a building permit is issued, must go and ensure that the building is in conformity with the provisions of the ordinance. Is that your understanding, Mr. Escamilla?
No.
What is your understanding of this code section?
Okay. If we don't have a problem with the property ever, it's always been a single-family home, it's zoned in a single-family home area, we have no need to go inspect it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a single-family home. The reason I went out and inspected was because they came in to try to pull a permit to redo a garage. Now, it was affirmed in 2010 to be removed, and then it was registered as a rental property in 2013 and 2012. So our secretary has asked me to go out there and inspect it, so I did, and found that the apartments were not removed.
Okay, so I've given to the board a copy of section 26.20 requirement for building permit, which in part states no building permit shall be issued to erect a building or structure or make any change of use of a building or land unless it is in conformity with the provisions of the ordinance and all amendments thereto. Now, is it your understanding that a building inspector, when the permits were issued in the 90s, would have come out and looked at this property?
I don't know. I was born in 93, so I was barely walking.
Okay, so there's no way of knowing if someone had gone in the 90s and inspected this property when this work was being done? Okay, now, another thing that you had taken care of, that you had stated in the notice of violation, is that there's an issue of dwelling unit separation. Is that correct?
Yes, you can see in the pictures, as we were poking the ceiling with the broom, we were doing that so we could see what was behind the drop ceiling. Adequate fire separation would be 5/8, 2 sheets of 5/8 drywall, which there weren't.
Now, what version of the International Residential Code does Indiana use? Do you know? Yeah, what version? Okay. And is this adopted by the Indiana Administrative Code? Is the International Residential Code version from 2003 adopted by the Indiana Residential Code?
I believe so.
And if I could just direct you to this here. Okay, those certain documents being titled the 2003 International Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings, 5th printing, and Chapter 43 of the 2006 International Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings, are, and this is showing that they're being adopted by reference. And and then okay. And then it states, save and accept those revisions made in this rule. Okay? So if there were some exceptions, you'd be aware of those, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, I'd like to refer you to 765 Indiana Administrative Code 14-4.3-38.5. And this references that section R317.1 that you've cited to in the notice of violation. Now, could you read that
entire
code for me?
paragraph? All right, section 38.5, change exception. In R317.1 to exceptions, number the exception as 1, and add a second exception to read as follows. 2, wall assemblies need not extend through attic spaces of two-family dwelling structures under single ownership when the ceiling is protected by not less than 5/8 inch type X gypsum board and an attic draft stop constructed as specified in R502.12.1 is provided above and along the wall assembly separating the unit, or the dwellings.
Now, does that vary this International Residential Code 317.1 that says dwelling units shall be separated from each other by wall and or floor assemblies having not less than 1 hour fire resistance rating? Does that section of the code alter that? Because I'm seeing a number 5/8 in there, which is less than 1. So I'm not certain.
What was your question?
Does the code section stating 5/8 alter this 1 hour fire resistance rating at all?
Does it alter it?
Yeah. Does it alter that 1317.1?
Yeah.
Yes?
I mean, they don't say the same thing, but specifically dwelling units shall be separated from each other by wall and or floor assemblies having not less than 1 hour fire resistance rating. So there has to be 1 full hour. If there's a fire on the first floor, the people upstairs have to have 1 full hour to get out before that fire spreads to the second floor. That's what it's stating. And there is no 1 hour fire rating in the house.
What is this 5/8 inch, though? This alteration?
Drywall.
Okay, and is
2
5/8?
sheets of 5/8 drywall will give you 1 hour fire rating.
Okay, but this is saying only 1, correct? 1 5/8 inch drywall?
Yep.
So that would be, what, could you explain that? Is that a half hour fire rating?
You would need 1 from the first floor, you would need a 5/8 drywall separating it from the second floor, and you would need 1 from the second floor separating it from the first floor. Dwelling separation. And there's not.
Okay, but does that alter this 1 hour rating?
That would give you adequate 1 hour rating. This is
With
just
the
saying that it
5/8
would
inch?
give you 1 hour rating.
Would a 5/8 inch would give you an adequate 1 hour rating? Is that what you're saying? Because I thought I heard you say that 2 of them.
Yeah, 1 from the first floor going to the second floor for their apartment, separating it from the second floor, and then you need 1 from the second floor separating it from the first floor. 2 sheets of 5/8 drywall, separating them for 1 full hour.
So 1 on the first, 1 on the second. Okay.
And you'd also need fire blocks. It's not a brick frame construction. You need fire blocks at the bottom and top of every single wall throughout the entire house. You need it every 10 feet.
Under what circumstances is a homeowner permitted to act as his own contractor?
When they pull a permit.
I
If they were to do that, they would submit plans to the building commissioner. And if the building commissioner said, yeah, okay, you can do it, then it would go to the zoning to see if the house and lot size is properly zoned for a 2-unit.
Now, isn't an owner allowed to do a certain amount of plumbing repairs, namely under $500, by himself? And let me show you something here. Installation by owners. Now, this is about plumbing. Now, a bona fide owner of a residence desiring to install, remodel, or repair the plumbing system shall comply with all the laws, rules, and regulations of this chapter, and the owner has to secure necessary plumbing permits.
Yeah, even at that, it's still a rental property, he still have to have a landlord's license, and he wouldn't be, which he doesn't, he would have to get it in order to be able to work on a rental property. It's been registered as a rental property, according to him, since he bought it, so even if he does live there, he wouldn't be able to work on it because it's a rental property. You have to have a licensed contractor work on all rental properties.
Okay, but are you disputing though that prior plumbing work was done on the property? You and I went over a list of permits. So plumbing work could have been done on the property previously.
Yeah, as a single-family home. Because if it wasn't a single-family home, you know, how long have we made licensed contractors work on rental properties? For 10 years, licensed contractors have had to work on rental properties.
Okay.
So yes, it could have been done previous to our,
Requiring licensed contractors, because, yeah, 1996, so in 96, we may not have required licensed contractors to do that kind of work on property, as long as someone resided in that home.
and even if it was, a plumbing permit doesn't show that it's
Right.
there's ever a building permit to make it a institution.
Okay, and again, you stated that the electrical, there were electrical permits pulled, and that you cannot tell what electrical work specifically was done by those permits. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
you can tell because if they were gonna take it from a single-family home to a 2-unit, there would have been plans submitted. And those electrical permits would have stated clearly that they were rewiring for another apartment. There would have been a building permit saying that they're gonna create this other apartment, a plumbing permit saying that we're gonna reroute the water lines for another apartment.
But you don't know what those past permits were issued for exactly. So how do you know that it couldn't have been for
Because
this
there
purpose?
would have been plans submitted. If you're gonna take a single-family home to a 2-unit, you have to have plans submitted for doing that properly with the permit and adequately.
And again, you have no reason to believe that this property wasn't built as a multi-unit property. You and I were both here, both not here in the 1920s. So we can't really tell what this property was built as. Is that correct?
Well, the board in 2010 agreed that it was a single-family home. Lake County Assessor agreed that it was a single-family home because that's the physical characteristics of the construction.
But I showed you previously that section 520, residential 2-family platted dwelling. Doesn't that show that that was shown as a 2-family
If it was
home?
built as a 2-family dwelling, the physical characteristics would have been 2-family dwelling for all of time and it would never have been disputed or changed.
But really, there's only been a dispute since 2009.
When it was affirmed for removal, so either they removed
Right,
it, brought it back to
but
a single-family home and
are you
created more apartments, or they never removed it and it got affirmed removed and the inspector didn't go back out to it.
Are you contending that those 2009 and 2010 notices involved the second floor? Because I didn't see anything about the second floor on
When
those.
it says property is now a single-family home, it doesn't mean it's a single-family first floor and a single-family second floor. It means that one family lives throughout the entire building.
Right, but there was nothing expressly about the second floor in the 2009 and 2010 documents that we went through, correct?
No, it said property is now a single-family home from an inspector, so.
But there was no removal of the second floor specifically,
There wouldn't be a second floor
or,
apartment if it's a single-family home.
All right, Ms. Burkett, can you move on?
okay. Is an owner allowed to make certain electrical repairs by him or herself without a license?
As long as it's not around the property, yes. It's under $500.
Okay, so section 156.16 provides an exception that except no owner of the property desiring to do his or her own electrical work on his or her own property shall be required to be licensed.
Can you say that again?
Sure. the exception is, except no owner of property desiring to do his or her own electrical work on his or her own property shall be required to be licensed.
They don't have to be licensed, they still have to get a permit.
And
As long as it's
didn't we,
$500.
didn't we see permits being pulled for electrical work in 1959, 1963, 1994, and 2 in 1996?
Yes.
And you can't tell me what specifically those were for, correct?
Either way, there's no building permit there.
President, we're basically back to the beginning here. Is there any new information or any new witnesses before the city gets the call there?
No, I would just like to submit some additional documents here and state that the Lake County surveyor also indicates that this property is a two-family dwelling platted. So the Lake County surveyor, the assessor's online records both indicate this property is a 2-unit.
Any further information you wish to submit to the board, Ms. Burkett?
I believe that's it.
City, it's your opportunity to submit any information that you wish to submit to the board prior to the board's ruling.
Just briefly, since we have gone over this for a long time, there's a lot of things to love on the call. I would ask Kelly Kearney to come up to the podium, please. I do not believe you were previously sworn, so would you raise your right hand? Solemnly swear affirm that under the penalty of perjury, the testimony about to give this thing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Mr. Kearney, I was not around in 1926, neither were you.
Correct.
However, in 1926, a 2-unit building was required to be built how?
With non-flammable material, usually a wire mesh plaster mix.
And is this building constructed in that fashion?
No. I believe it's bloom frame construction, which basically is long studs from first to second floor, which is why the fire blocking is necessary when you build a 2-unit. You stop that fire from shooting up the balloon frame to 2 studs.
So we're past the point of considering whether or not this was originally constructed this way, because if it was originally constructed this way, the 2-unit was constructed incorrectly, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the only thing that we are to discuss, or the only point of discussion, would be the permits, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you find in your search for permits any permits to convert this into a multifamily dwelling?
No, we did not.
Is there anything else you wish to add on this property?
The fact that we've been here, we've done this, it's been removed, it's been ordered removed, it's been affirmed by an inspector. Either it was put back in or was never removed in the first place. Either way, Jesse and Matt, both competent inspectors, went out, did their inspection, and found such to have to bring the case back in front of the board again.
Anything else?
No.
Anybody else?
Is there a motion by the board?
I'll make a motion that we take this under advisement.
When would you like to render a decision to the parties?
I'll second.
Within 30 days.
That should give us plenty of time, because of the holiday, that's probably reasonable.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Ooh. Item F. What is item F? I don't even know.
Hearing property located at 2841 Cleveland.
2841 Cleveland. Anybody for 2841 Cleveland, please come forward. I found mine, thank you. Is the city ready to proceed? 2841 Cleveland?
Yes, we are. Single-family home, been converted into 2 units. Show you the permits that were issued, including the original one from 1927, which was a 693. At some point, someone did construct a masonry wall between the 2 basement sections, but that has been breached, and we did not verify that there was fire separation to the roof deck.
apartments are on which floor, Kelly?
It's a main floor, split in half.
Down the middle. Oh, the brick wall comes up through the basement, you said?
This actually looks as if we're gonna put a door or something through there. A large portion of the masonry didn't take apart.
Yeah, there actually was a door originally.
I remember that one.
Reference is actually zoned R1.
Just need a two-gang cover there. Right? Yeah. I don't know what they're showing us there. What are they asking for here?
The picture of the drum just kind of rolled in and take up the big dirt.
That's how it got started, right?
Drums, like 55-gallon drums, or like bongo?
Right then, in the back. That's how it's all. Got a call. There's no going.
All right, is there any more information the city wishes to render to the board?
That's zoned R1.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson?
It's AB.
Sorry. This is your opportunity to respond.
Okay. Is there a violation or a notice that you tried to get to me regarding this matter? Because I have the other one, and I seen when I came here yesterday, you had some things that didn't make it to me because I don't know of this issue. Are they, how did the other ones get to me?
I guess the inspector's only way the inspector was able to get to either one of you was through email.
No, I received it in the mail, actually, the one with the garage and the tree and...
Addresses on all those and see if there's a mistake in the address.
Well, I'm just wondering, but do you have a copy of the actual violation stating that it was converted?
Yeah,
So I could look at it faster than...
The address is right on that envelope?
No, they're not. But the one from the other one with the garage and stuff was right. So I'm just,
We did receive one in the mail at the correct address.
like, I didn't get this one
more willing to
at all.
if they'd like to take a look at that and some better.
But
Would 45 days be a reasonable period of time for you to review the violations and respond?
it would, if you don't, I mean, I have some stuff here showing the pictures, how the property's set up.
January what?
February 13th,
February 13th?
is that a Thursday?
I came yesterday because we said the 18th.
Yeah, the inspector actually put the 18th. If you give me that, we'll-
February 13th is in fact a Thursday.
Copy will file for you and get ready for you to come pick up.
What do I need?
Go to the third floor, get a freedom of information request. That'll give us the ability to get all the paperwork together, basically get a copy of this file name and we have the property.
Okay.
February
Are you on?
13th, we'll reset this. And actually, if you guys can just make sure that the building department has your correct address.
Well, they do have my correct address because that's where I pay my, my affidavit for this property stating that I'm not renting the property and my brother's staying in the property. So they do have my address because that's where I go and that's where the permits were pulled and everything. So they do have my address. I'm not sure how they have the old address.
Ma'am, just tell me 1 second here. Are you saying 2841 Cleveland is an owner-occupied house? Is that-
No, I'm not. I'm saying that I fill out the affidavit stating that I'm not collecting rent for either side unit,
Okay.
east or west.
Well, east or west are both occupied by family members?
Yes.
Relatives?
Yes.
Okay. Do we even need to do anything then on it?
I mean, they made me kick them out. Right now it's empty. I moved my family to different rentals that I have.
What's the,
I've never corrected rent on this property.
what's the pleasure of the board?
If it's a family occupied structure,
But I don't want to convert it. I plan on,
Is it occupied as a single family?
no, it's occupied two different sides.
related living.
So there's related.
Well, there's two
living in both?
kitchens, two bathrooms, 2 gas meters, 2 electric meters, 2 water heaters, 2 furnaces,
All in the basement.
2, I mean,
The meters, electric meters and everything. So it's been.
like, it's not even new electrical because
But you have.
if you're not allowed to have,
Living in both has relatives. people.
Yeah.
Okay. You can have people just off the street you're taking.
no,
No, one was a brother, one was a friend of the brother, correct?
No, that's not.
No.
No.
That was what we talked about when we did the inspection.
Yeah, if it's all family members living there, then it's not a rental.
Right, we've always done,
I've never registered it as rental. I've always done affidavits that I'm not collecting rents.
I'd like to make a motion that we dismiss it.
There's been a motion to dismiss action at this property. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item G, 1011 Myrtle. 1011 Myrtle. Anybody for 1011 Myrtle, please come forward.
I had a deed restriction signed by the owner, not to bury the basement apartment.
Is there a motion to approve the agreement and dismiss action? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item H, 7129 Kentucky. Rental registration for 7921 Kentucky. Are you Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. White, this is your opportunity to explain to the board why you didn't register your rental unit on Kentucky.
At the time, I had up for the rent. I couldn't rent it. So I had 2 months, I put it up for sale with a realtor. The realtor had it for a month and a half. She changed real estate companies and got another real estate agent. I was up for sale. I did not sell it. I had the property holding it, and I was going to put it up again for sale. And then a renter had rented before, asked me would I rent it to a lady friend of his with a kid. And I thought about it, I said yes. At that time, I did not even think about having the
What was the date you
Restoration.
obtained the tenant? Roughly. Not exactly.
9/9/1. I signed a contract.
2013?
Yes,
September 1st of 2013.
yes.
Okay, so you came in to register the property on August 23rd, which is after the deadline for 2013, is that correct?
Yes, I'm not positive of the dates.
You came in
Because
after- If you came in after the deadline, you couldn't have registered before April.
Go ahead.
Because I had double knee replacement, I've been a lot of problem with it. So I was not
I'd like to make a motion
even
that
thinking
we,
about, getting a restoration.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the late fee, but you must register the unit at $80 for the year 2013.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. White, the board has determined to grant your appeal. You'll have 30 days to register your unit now that you have a tenant in there at the regular rate of $80. If you fail to do so in 30 days, the late fee will be assessed, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you
I
very
can
much.
do that today, correct?
You can either wait till the end of the meeting and we'll give you a copy of our order, or we'll mail you a copy of our order. You can take that down to the building department and register your unit.
Okay, Kim Allen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item I, 7329 Jackson. Yes, ma'am, this is your opportunity to explain to the board why you failed to register your unit on Jackson.
When I originally purchased the unit, I was living in the unit. I got married in 2011. I tried selling the house. I could not sell it. So I just started renting it. I have my lease 2012. I was not aware. I went to the water department, asked them, should I keep it in my name? Should I change it? How does it work? I've never rented. This is my first house I've ever bought. They told me it'd be best to keep it in my name. I asked them, is there anything else I can do? It's really lack of knowledge, ignorance on my part. I
Did you
mean,
rent it in 2012?
2012,
And it's still rented as of this year?
right now, yes. And
have
I
you paid
was not
any-
aware.
Have you paid any registration fees?
My husband called when I got the letter, because that's the first I ever heard of it. He said, well, we can pay it. They said not to pay anything, to wait until I come to court. So.
Is there a
that's what we were
motion to
told.
waive the late fees for 2012 and 2013? And that
I mean, it's-
we require the owner to register the unit at the regular rate of $80 for each of those 2 years.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. You'll have 30 days to register your unit at the regular rate for 12 and 13. It's $80 per year.
Do I do it here? I don't
do it
know
here.
where to do it.
You can do it in the basement here at the
Okay.
building department. We'll give you a copy of the order after the meeting if you want to wait around, otherwise we'll mail it to you.
Okay.
If we mail it to you, you'll have 30 days to register the unit, and if you don't register them in 30 days, the late fee will be assessed.
I can do it right now. It was accidental, honest. I've never done this before, and the only reason is because I couldn't sell it. I bought it when the market was up, so I kind of.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item J, 7601 Linden.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is your opportunity to explain to the board why you weren't able to register your unit on Linden.
This was the first unit we are renting. We started to invest in Hammond. This is the first time, and I was not aware of registration process. And
Mr. Kadir, when did you start renting the unit?
September of 2013.
September of this year was it? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Is there a motion by the board?
I'd like to make a motion that we waive late fee and he has to register the unit at the $80.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Your appeal has been granted. You'll have 30 days to register your unit at $80. If you fail to do so in 30 days, the late fee will be assessed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item K, 7207 Kentucky. You don't look like Luis.
No, my husband's in a hospital having radiation. Can we reschedule?
This is your opportunity to explain why you did not register your unit on Kentucky.
We got the house for my nephew, and we don't pay nothing. He pays the mortgage, he pays everything. We didn't know that it was a crime to do something like that.
Your nephew owns the house?
Yeah, but
And
the
you live
mortgage
there?
in our name. We don't live there. We got the house.
So you own the house,
He pays the mortgage and everything, yes.
and he lives there?
Yes.
Very good.
The affidavit in the basement then.
We
Is there-
filled one out, and they sent it, my husband said they sent everything back.
The affidavit?
Yes, we filled one out. I don't know exactly where everything's at. I'm trying to keep up with everything. No. Right there, stating that my nephew lives there.
All right, Mr. President, she has an affidavit which is dated October the 18th of 2013, indicating that her relative is.
Is there a motion to dismiss all action at 7207 Kentucky?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, everything's done then?
Everything's good.
Thank you.
Item L, 1614 180th Place. 180th Place. And you don't look like Julie.
No, I'm her husband.
Okay, this is your opportunity to explain why you guys did not register your unit on 180th Place.
Okay, we purchased this property in July 3rd,
Of 2013?
2013, and that same day, I went to the Hammond Water Department, put the water in my name. And then I came here to ask for an application, and the clerk downstairs says, don't get one until you get renters. So we didn't rent this out until September 15th. So on November 1st, we filled out the application and sent an $80 check to the city of Hammond. And 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a woman saying that I missed the deadline. I had 30 days to pay it. So I didn't want any trouble, so I wrote a check for additional $500. They made me pay the penalty. Then I see on the application you got from January 1st to April 15th. You go past that deadline, then you're tapped for $500. So I'm here to see if I can collect my $500 back.
Is there a motion to grant Mr. Hasimovich?
That's correct.
His appeal? Go ahead.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Your appeal's been granted, which means you need to register your unit at the regular rate of $80, which you have.
Right.
In order to get your $500 back, if you go up to the third floor, in the law office, after the meeting, when these two ladies go back up there, they will give you a claim form in which you can request the $500 be reimbursed to you. Fill that claim form out along with a copy of our order, and then return it back to the law department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You won't get the money till next year.
That's fine.
Okay.
Item M. We have correspondence from Dr. Stewart requesting amendments be made to his rehabilitation agreement. Is there a motion to approve those amendments?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item N. We have correspondence requesting rental registration hearings for several properties. Is there a date, Mr. Smith?
January 16th. No?
30th is,
Well, the 9th is a Thursday, and I'm not gonna.
yeah, the 9th is, okay, the 9th, you're not gonna be here on the 9th.
The 16th, I know.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. January 16th it is. Item O. Item O. We have two agreements to rehabilitate properties that have been submitted by our corporation council. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item O, is there a motion to accept into the record the receipt from the production company for the filming that occurred 2 Sundays ago?
Did anybody see Mimi driving?
I did. I came in because I had business to do on Sunday, but I got a glimpse.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. She has a very large head.
All the TV people do.
Is there any matters from other board members?
Yes, I have one. I have a request from the engineering department for $852.50 from the Fourth District for drainage issues, and it's already been approved by the mayor and the councilman.
Is there a motion to transfer $852 from the 4th District Councilman's Gaming to?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any other matters from board members or department heads? Any new or old business? Public expression. The meeting is now open to the public. Any further from the public wishing to address the board, now is your opportunity to do so.
Mr. Loxis?
Seeing as there is none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.